Hello everyone, and thank you for joining me today. I wanted to do a little flip through a project that I have been doing since 2011, and it's a photo a day project. I look at this as a visual diary. It's helped me so much with my photography and how I look at things and my perspective on photos and daily events. It's just little snippets of photos that might not necessarily make it into a family album or into vacation album or even birthday albums. You can see that I've got all sorts of little photos in here of things that we do as a family, but you'll also notice that my family aren't actually in any of these photos. They do send me photos every now and then, and this one here I had a little bit more of a story, so I've put a flip flap in there. My family aren't on social media, so if I want to take photos of them at all, I have to let them know that I'm not going to use them online. But my crafting friends and my craft things that I love to do, they are all in this sort of album. And you can see by me flipping through these that it's a wide variety of photos. And what I found is the Close to My Heart mix-in packs are the ones that just seem to work really, really well with a wide variety of photos. Normally when we scrapbook, it might be one theme of photos and we can pick a paper pack and embellishments and things like that that will match perfectly with that specific style of photos. But when I'm dealing with an opening here, a double page spread, there's 14 photos from different things in those 2 weeks. The mix-ins just seem to lend themselves beautifully, no matter what month it is, to those photos. I do everything on the Cricut in Design Space, and then I design little elements as well to go on the page. In this case, I've done word art for 2021. I have done word art for the start of the month and here the end of the month. I did some circles in last year's 2020 project, and I really loved them. So for 2021, each end of month has one of these. And then you can see here I do other little embellishments as well, but I keep it fairly simple and clean so that the photos are the ones telling the stories. The photos look quite busy. In some instances there's a lot of detail, and at the end of the month there is a 6x4 photo usually, and I usually pick one from the last day or the 29th or the 31st, depending on what month it is. In this one, I've just done a collage of this particular day. There was a lot happening, and I can put these sort of photos in my family album, but they're also important for me to put in my diary or my visual diary. This year I went with actually printing my journaling, and I've just cut strips of just a little bit wider than 4-inch white daisy cardstock, centered it in the document and fed it through my printer. I don't have a fancy printer at home, but this has worked really well. You can see with this mix-in paper packet, there were actually tags printed on it, and I incorporated them onto the layouts. And sometimes I do designs in Cricut where it's like a negative space piece cut from it. So what I do with the mix-ins, these are the 2 patterns, and then I could incorporate 1 or 2 plain cardstocks that complement it, and just black and white paper. You can see all these little date numbers, they're all drawn and cut on the Cricut as well. And it just makes it really easy to have all of this prepared for the month ahead. I quite like doing them in one bundle this year, where this was all done and then all I had to do was look at the mix-ins and design the pages. Sometimes I use arrows and I'll manipulate the shape to create something a bit bigger, and some word art with some cameras, arrows, some fun circles on the page. Now in these ones here you can see I'm actually missing the photos, and that was me uploading them to get printed, and I've missed a few, so you'll see a few empty spots. But if you do this project, so I have to print this one as well. If you do this project and you miss a photo for the day, that's okay. You can go back, take a photo of the book that you're reading or the craft that you were doing or something else that you were doing, or you could print this photo as a 6x4 and trim it down to fit. It's really your own project. So if I have missed a photo, which very rarely happens now, I have my phone set with an alarm for 4 p.m. So if I haven't taken one, I know that I can take one quickly. Or my family send me photos as well, so I can use those. My daughter loves taking photos of clouds and nature and all that sort of thing. So some of these photos are actually ones that she has sent me. My crafty friends are always happy for me to include them in the photos that I take. But you can see using different perspectives and things like that actually really does highlight something that in everyday life you might not notice. But when you start taking photos of these things, they have importance. When you go out for a walk, you might be just walking along and you'll notice a little heart in some tree bark, and I love all the texture in this. Playing with food is also a very popular thing for me to do when I take photos. And this one was a picnic that we had with the view out over the skyline of the beach boxes and the city. And you can see here, this is November. And I've started putting those down. I haven't done the journaling yet, but you can see that that's almost ready to go. And this is where I'm up to with printing my photos, apart from the ones that I accidentally didn't upload to the photo printing center. So you can see here, this is the general layout. So I've used 2 mix-ins. This is the November pack. And in December, I'll be using mix-ins from the November-December 21 catalogue. That's how I organise this. I look at the mix-ins for our bi-monthly catalogue, pick 2 patterns for each month. And when I cut them out and design them on the Cricut, I actually have instructions that I provide for people who are doing these. And you can see here, it's all numbered with the layout and how they cut on Design Space. And when you take them off the mats, you've got the page numbers there. But you can see I've utilised pretty much all of that pattern mix in. But then there are also instructions with how to put all of this together. So that comes with either the Design Space file for my customers that use Cricut Design Space, or for those that I do pre-cut kits for, I put all the kits together and I bag them all up. So it just depends what format they want. If they've got Design Space, they can easily cut these things out themselves. I quite like the fact that these little hearts that have come out of these little stitched things that I have designed fit really nicely within the November titles. And then December I'm running a little bit behind. We've had a few family things happen in the last few weeks that have put me behind, but you can see here, this is what you can do in Design Space. So obviously I had these for every single month. So Design Space will actually print all of this, and then I've got it attached so that the circle gets cut out as well. So that's ready to assemble. And the same thing with the December. And then I have a little bag of all the date numbers ready to attach to my photos. So this is a project that I have absolutely loved over the years. I love looking back at these. I post my photos to my Instagram account and I put a little blurb on there so that I can look back in case I'm running a bit behind with my printing. This was a day we actually had an earthquake here, which is something that we don't normally feel in my city. So my photo from this day was a screenshot from my computer of the range and the magnitude and the details on the earthquake. You can see that I've got a few little collage ones here. I use PicFrame to do photo printing, and you can do collages and trim them down, and you can get 3x3s, 2x2s, 3x4s. You can see there's plenty of room here if you wanted to put a 3x4 photo. If that's the orientation that works better, you can extend this out. This mix-in was a little bit more challenging to deal with because it was all plaid or check, which is not normal for a mix-in, but I actually do love how these pick up colours from my photos. So the red here picks up the red camera. These are cameras that I design myself in Design Space to use on my pages. So it's picking up the reds from my photos here. I design these well before I take the photos, so really it's surprising how well these mix-ins work with such a wide variety of photos that you take. The nectarine or the orange and the grey work beautifully as a backdrop, but for me the main focus is on my photos and my storytelling, and then putting in some appropriate photo a day word arts and embellishments to enhance the project. Now I'm going to flip right back to the very beginning. I don't start on January 1st for the very first page. I actually start with the title page, and I did all of these. This is from the mix-ins as well for January 2021, January, February 2021. And I'm going to select a photo from the year that might sum up the year. That's a 7x5 trimmed photo, or I might do a collage of photos here as well, or I could actually put two photos side by side. So there's a lot of options with how you place your photos on these. I do build my pages front to back, so it's only one sheet of White Daisy cardstock on all of these, so that works really, really well, and it does keep the bulk down and keeps the cost down, of course. And I have done, to make it easier for me this year, all of my photos except the very last day of the month in a 3x3 format, because that's what Instagram sort of has, a square photo, so it's very easy to take it with my phone. The majority of these photos are with my phone, even though I do have a larger camera that I could use, but my phone is with me all the time. So making them into a square or a grid type pattern and then building up these pieces and cutting banners and things like that from the papers work really, really well. And then accenting them with some special designed things that I have either made myself or used from one of Close to My Heart's Cricut collections. This camera is from one of the Close to My Heart Cricut collections, and then I put a rounded square with it and cut it away, and I've popped all that up on foam tape to just give it a little bit more dimension on the layout. I've had a lot of questions about whether or not I'm going to do this project again next year, and really as I'm flipping through I definitely will be. I've got ideas for new titles, new embellishments. They change all the time. These sorts of statements are really, really good for photo a day type projects, and you can find all sorts of groups on Instagram where they have prompts for each day or each week. So if you wanted to follow along with prompts, if you're having trouble working out what photos to take for the week, you could look at those prompts, and it might be something as simple as a color, or it might be looking up or looking down, and I have participated in those before and they are a lot of fun to do. And we take photos and we put them on Instagram, and then they're sort of forgotten. But this photo a day project gives them a place to live, and you get to tell the stories about it. So I hope you've enjoyed listening to how this project works for me, and I'm loving scrapbooking these. I can keep more up to date with what is going on right here, right now, movies that I'm watching, books that I'm reading. There's a lot of crafting because we had a lot of lockdown period this year where I live, and thankfully I had craft, knitting, more craft, all sorts of things to do to keep me occupied, and then playing with taking photos, getting outside when it's rained, all those sorts of things. It just kept the interest going for the year. And I've got December layouts almost ready to do now, but I kept putting off doing this video because it wasn't complete. But with a photo a day type project, they're never really complete. It's an ongoing thing. But at the end of December, once I've printed my last photo, I'm going to have a wonderful reference to look back on all the things that have been happening during 2021 and the other years that I've done this with. Thank you so much for watching. Bye for now.